Hey, welcome. It's Brian, and this is Guitar Solo Reactions. Today we are doing Judas Priest, and they are doing a cover of War Pigs. Probably one of the most covered songs by Black Sabbath that I can think of, and still to me has that impact that it had when I first heard that song, probably in the late 70s. And it's been covered many times by many different people. And we're going to check this out today and see what we think. Obviously, Rob Halford had a very short stint in Black Sabbath between Ronnie James Dio and Ozzy, or vice versa. That was kind of when I think maybe Ozfest started, or they were going to do something and then it fell apart. And poor Ronnie James Dio kind of got left in the dust. And I believe they asked Rob to kind of step in. If I remember correctly, even by his own admission, it was probably not a great fit or whatever. So I love Judas Priest. I think Richie is an incredible guitar player. Glenn, really iconic, great rock metal player, and obviously has Parkinson's and is not really playing as much with the band, obviously, or very little. But I've seen him been joining the band on kind of latest tours. I saw the tour, I think around 2015, and I really, really liked that. That was the Firepower tour. Incredible show, and Rob sounded incredible. Now, that was almost 10 years ago. So I've watched things since, and obviously Rob is 72, so maybe he doesn't have exactly his voice, but man, the things I've heard have sounded pretty great. So anyway, we're going to see how they treat the song. It's 8 minutes long, so sit down, enjoy. Glenn is in the video. That is killer. That's Andy Sneap, who has kind of been taking the second guitar duties for quite a while, I think. I don't know about every tour, but I think he's been basically doing all the tours as the second guitar player. Yes.
Gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses.
So obviously this isn't live, but you can kind of get the gist, I hope, or we'll get the gist.
Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerers of death's construction. In the fields, the bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning. Death and hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh Lord, yeah!
Scott Travis, I'm pretty sure that's his name. It should be. He's been in the band probably for 30 years or 20 years or something, but he is a fucking great drummer. And I think he meets Richie with that kind of energy and all of that. And obviously, the three remaining real original members are, Ian Hill on bass, who sounds incredible. This recording sounds amazing. It's big, it's heavy, it's fat, it's great. And then obviously we have Glenn Tipton and then Rob Halford. So they've stayed pretty much intact for, I don't know, since like 1974 or whatever, when Rock-a-Rolla came out. So that's cool. Killer guitar solo. I love the energy. He's kind of nodding to the original as far as Richie's playing goes, but also doing some kind of high energy pentatonic runs. And man, I love every guitar he gets from Gibson. He's got just small little tweaks to the Flying V and Les Paul, but man, it makes me want to buy one.
Darkness, world stops turning. Ashes where the body's burning. No more war pigs have the power. Hand of God has struck the hour. Day of judgment, God is calling. On their knees, the war pigs crawling, begging mercies for their sins. Satan laughing spreads his wings. Oh Lord, yeah.
think that is my favorite cover of War Pigs. I think previous to this, it would be Faith No More on their Epic record did a version I thought was pretty incredible. But this, I'm going to go player by player. Scott Travis sounded incredible on drums. This is really nicely recorded. Ian Hill, although his bass playing wasn't as mid-rangey as like Geezer, it was low and really impressive and really filled this out. This is a big sounding version of this song. Uh, Rob sounded incredible. I liked kind of some of those cool effects that they put on when he was coming in on certain phrases. And then Richie Faulkner playing a lot of solo stuff sounded incredible. And obviously, Andy Sneap, I don't think he was playing any leads in that, but he was definitely backing up the band. And then we have Glenn. It looks like he was probably just doing some of those big chord hits. And I think it almost looks like as if he was just kind of in the video that everyone knows he's still around, part of the band, and all of that. And I think as far as rock and metal players go, Glenn Tipton is one of those guys that obviously Judas Priest is a big band then and still is, but he was always overlooked from my point of view. And he always had a really interesting take on guitar playing and solo specifically. Not only were they great songwriters, or they are great songwriters, I think Firepower is one of their best albums since basically Screaming for Vengeance. With that said, Glenn Tipton, I think, just was one of those great players that really did some really unique stuff, kind of sweeping kind of stuff. Not in the same way that people do it now or like how Yngwie would do it, but during Screaming for Vengeance and then in Turbo, he's doing some incredible guitar solo stuff. And then we see him using one of his hammers that I believe they started using hammers probably around Turbo or Defenders of the Faith, right after Screaming for Vengeance came out. Both him and KK had hammer guitars. I think KK's was more just like a flying V with the cool chaparral headstock. And Glenn was using the Phantom and something else, this thing with really cool horns. And Hamer was really doing some cool stuff back then and did a lot of kind of more traditional looking stuff up until that Phantom guitar that Andy Summers used. It had a triple pickup, which I think was a single coil and a humbucker in the bridge or something like that. Check them out if you play guitar and love that, knowing stuff about that. They're really cool looking. And then they kind of took that shape and Glenn started using them. Now, I don't know if they called it the Phantom or something else, but they used them for quite a while. And here he is using another one. I don't remember this one with that kind of really pointy headstock, but that would be kind of fun to check out and kind of do some more research on. So anyway, I thought this was a great cover. I love Judas Priest. I love Black Sabbath. Two of my favorite kind of, I would pretty much consider them hard rock now, considering what we have as far as metal today. But both Black Sabbath and Judas Priest delivered and continued to deliver throughout their whole career great metal and great songs and great songwriting. I'm Brian. This is Guitar Solo Reactions. See you soon.